Harley Davidson just dropped a bombshell no one saw coming. Behind locked factory doors in Milwaukee, engineers have been building a completely new platform, codenamed R-Block. No chrome facelift, no commemorative badge. This is a full mechanical reboot. Leaked specs point to a lighter frame, adaptive cooling, and geometry that defies Harley tradition. But here's the kicker. If you ride, buy, or even love American steel, what's coming next could change everything you know about it. Stay till the end, because this one might decide whether Harley's legacy survives or burns out. The announcement nobody saw coming. Harley Davidson didn't just announce a motorcycle. They detonated a secret the industry didn't think they had the courage to build. When Jochen Seitz took the stage at the company's Milwaukee headquarters, most expected another color swap or commemorative badge. Instead, the screens lit up with something that stopped the room cold. A new machine built from the ground up, forged in secrecy under a project known only by its internal code name, R-Block. No one was prepared for what followed. This wasn't a styling refresh or a recycled platform. The images showed a chassis that looked carved from armor, a drivetrain shrouded in mystery, and geometry that hinted at something beyond touring or cruising. Engineers whispered that it combined mechanical muscle with endurance tech never seen on an American bike before. The press froze, and the internet exploded within minutes. Was this Harley rewriting its own DNA? Riders called it the company's moonshot, a statement that the old Iron Horse could still outcharge any rival that doubted it. It was more than a reveal. It was defiance wrapped in chrome and steel. Harley didn't just show a bike. They declared war on complacency. And to understand how explosive that moment really was, you have to remember, Harley has been here before. Every rebirth in its history came with fire, and this one burns the brightest yet. History never let go. Harley's past is written in engines, each one a rebellion in metal. In 1984, the Evolution motor saved the brand from extinction. In 1999, the twin cams silenced doubters who said Harley was done. And in 2017, the Milwaukee 8 carried that legacy forward with raw torque and grit that echoed through generations. Every era came with outrage, disbelief, and finally, loyalty. But this time feels different. What they're building now isn't about nostalgia, it's about survival through reinvention. Insiders describe it as the first true overhaul since the Evolution. New frame geometry, weight distribution, and endurance-tested performance meant to conquer both long-haul highways and punishing terrain. Harley's DNA is intact, but its heartbeat just got faster. Old-school riders fear change. They always have. Yet history proves that every time Harley has stepped into the unknown, it's come out stronger. Each redesign, once called the death of tradition, became a new chapter in American freedom. This project continues that story, not by erasing the past, but by proving it still matters. In every gleam of steel and every grind of the press, Harley is whispering one truth. The soul of the road doesn't age, it evolves. And deep inside those factory walls, where blueprints hum and welders trade secrets, the next evolution of that soul is already taking shape. If you appreciate getting the real story without corporate fluff, make sure to like this video and leave a comment. Inside the factory's quiet revolution. Behind the factory gates, the atmosphere was different. Not chaos, but focus. Engineers from across divisions were being reassigned to a project known internally as Frame 26. Sources close to the design team said it blended expertise from the touring lineup with specialists who had worked on Harley's adventure and performance platforms. They weren't redesigning the sound of the motorcycle. They were rebuilding the bones beneath it. Leaked blueprints began circulating in late summer. They hinted at a completely new structural layout, lighter frame metals, optimized vibration dampening, and improved heat distribution. The drawings showed adaptive air channels integrated into the core chassis, designed to maintain stability at high touring speeds while keeping the engine's signature heartbeat intact. Insiders described it as a mechanical counterattack. a direct response to years of criticism that Harley had fallen behind on innovation. The real intrigue came from how quietly the project was being executed. No marketing videos, no hype, just welders, designers, and machinists working behind locked doors. One veteran engineer was quoted anonymously saying, "We're not building a gadget. We're building a machine you can trust for another 100,000 miles." In that one line was the heart of the revolution. Not surrender to modernity, but a reaffirmation of craftsmanship. Yet as word of these developments trickled out, writers everywhere began asking the same question. What would this mean for the people who already owned the machines that built the legend? The writer's dilemma. For the men and women who've logged hundreds of thousands of miles on the open road, change has always been a double-edged wrench. A new model brings progress, but it can also render the old one obsolete overnight. When Harley starts over, it doesn't just reshape metal, it reshapes loyalty. That's what had so many riders uneasy after the announcement. They weren't afraid of innovation. They were afraid of being left behind. Resale values, parts compatibility, and long-term reliability became the talk at diners and rally stops. Mechanics wondered whether the upcoming platform would still welcome the wrench or demand a laptop. Touring veterans questioned if their Electra Glides and Road Kings would suddenly feel like relics. Others saw opportunity, a chance for Harley to fix what's been long overdue: better cooling, smoother transmission, and comfort that could rival imported tourers without selling out the soul of American steel. The dilemma ran deeper than dollars. For decades, owning a Harley wasn't about specs, it was about identity. Every mile carried a story, every dent had meaning. So when the brand announced something entirely new, the question wasn't just what would it ride like, it was whether it would feel like Harley, and that's a line too sacred to cross without consequences. Whatever's taking shape inside those Milwaukee walls will decide more than the future of a product line. It will determine whether Harley can still balance progress with pride, because what they're building next could either save the brand or end the V-twin era for good. Forged in modern steel. Walk through the factory floor, and you can feel it before you see it. The clang of metal isn't just noise, it's renewal. Harley Davidson's engineers have been experimenting with new alloys and fabrication techniques designed to push the classic touring frame into a new generation. The frame sections are now heat-treated for durability, and early reports suggest vibration dampers built directly into the motor mounts. That means fewer rattles, tighter feedback, and a ride that feels both raw and refined. It's not a gimmick, it's metallurgy meeting muscle. The idea is simple: stronger steel, fewer pieces. A one-piece backbone spreads stress evenly from steering head to swing arm. Less flex means more stability on long rides. Test riders say you can feel the welds tighten through the bars. Controlled aggression, not fatigue. Symbolically, this is Harley learning from its own scars. Every frame since the evolution era has told a story of progress, compromise, and pride. This time, the company isn't trying to reinvent its soul, it's reinforcing it. The steel remains American, the stance unmistakable, and the identity unshaken. But modern steel alone wasn't enough. The real challenge was managing heat, something Harley riders have fought for decades. The cooling trick no one expected. Every rider remembers the heat. In the 1990s, touring in stop-and-go traffic could cook your legs before you hit second gear. For years, Harley's answer was to keep the airflow natural, until environmental standards and comfort demands began squeezing that freedom. Now, engineers have pulled off something few thought possible: adaptive airflow that doesn't kill the rumble. The secret lies in how the new heads and channels are cast. Supplier leaks describe revised cylinder fins designed to redirect heat dynamically based on motion and engine load. Rather than relying on bulky cooling systems or liquid channels, the new design uses reshaped aluminum vanes that funnel air through a hidden network of ducts inside the frame. It's old-school air cooling with 21st-century precision. Temperature sensors integrated into the intake reportedly adjust airflow in real time, keeping combustion steady without changing the bike's signature pulse. This kind of innovation might sound small, but to anyone who's ever ridden through the desert in July, it's revolutionary. Early prototypes tested up to 20 degrees cooler in sustained, idle conditions without muffling the classic tone. One insider called it the perfect lie, cleaner performance disguised as tradition. Harley didn't want compliance to feel clinical. They wanted it to feel earned. And most importantly, they refused to sacrifice the one thing that defines every bike from Milwaukee: the sound. Cooling was just one victory, but what set this project apart wasn't the technology. It was the people who brought it to life. The return of human engineering. Inside the factory, you can smell the difference between automation and craftsmanship. For this project, Harley brought back the human element. Real builders, not algorithms. Many of the machinists and line supervisors are veterans, men and women who once shaped the Twin Cam or the Milwaukee 8. Some even came out of retirement when they heard the call. Their fingerprints are on every casting, every weld, every calibration chart pinned to the wall. The approach was simple but radical. Merge modern tools with old-school intuition. Engineers used advanced modeling to test tolerances, but final approvals came from the craftsmen who understood how metal actually behaves under pressure and road vibration. The result? Precision with soul. A former Marine turned welder summed it up perfectly. We didn't design it for shareholders. We designed it for the guy who rides it. That line has already become legend within the company. It captures everything Harley has been trying to recapture: authenticity through labor. There's pride in knowing that beneath the marketing, the bike is still built by hands that care. You can see it in the clean weld lines, in the subtle polish around each joint, in the way every panel fits tight without losing character. This isn't mass production, it's mechanical storytelling, one torque wrench at a time. But while the engineers and craftsmen were quietly celebrating, another battle was beginning, one fought far from the factory floor, inside the showrooms that define Harley's future. Dealers brace for the new era. Out on the dealership front, anticipation and anxiety are welded together like steel and chrome. Legacy dealers, those family-run stores that survived every economic dip since the 1970s, are scrambling to understand what this next-generation platform means for them. Retraining service techs, updating diagnostic tools, and ordering new lifts capable of handling redesigned chassis layouts takes both time and money. Many smaller operations are worried they'll be priced out before they even get to roll one of the new models onto the floor. Corporate-owned outlets, on the other hand, are positioning this as Harley's rebirth. Their sales teams are already studying talking points about weight reduction, comfort geometry, and modern touring ergonomics. They see this new machine as the answer to a shrinking market, something bold enough to bring in younger riders while keeping veterans in the saddle. The divide between legacy and corporate dealers has never been clearer. One side sees survival, the other sees opportunity. Parts distributors are feeling the tremors too. Old stock is stacking up, and trade-in values for pre-2025 models are under quiet review. Some dealers whisper that they're holding back inventory until the dust settles, afraid that prices will plummet once the new bikes ship. Yet through all the tension, one truth remains. Harley is finally moving again. The hum of anticipation has replaced years of stagnation. But in the echo of those revving engines, a question still hangs heavy in the air. Not everyone is celebrating because this move just split the Harley world in two. Riders react from coast to coast. The first reactions didn't come from boardrooms or dealerships. They came from parking lots, garage radios, and long stretches of blacktop where riders still talk face-to-face instead of through press releases. Within days of Harley's announcement, rallies from Florida to Oregon were buzzing with arguments. Some riders called it redemption, a long overdue return to serious engineering. Others saw it as betrayal, proof that Harley had finally given in to a changing world they never asked for. Forums lit up with debates that sounded more like family fights. One man who's ridden the same road glide for 15 years wrote, "If it ain't broke, Don't fix it. Another fired back, "It's been broke for decades. Let them fix it before the lawyers do." It was the kind of argument you only hear between people who care deeply. Across YouTube channels and diner tables, everyone suddenly had an opinion, and for the first time in years, they weren't complaining about paint or seat height. They were talking about legacy. That was the real shockwave. It wasn't just that Harley was building something new, it was that riders were feeling something again. Passion had replaced indifference. Love and anger, both burning from the same spark. While riders argued on asphalt, the real pressure built inside the dealerships, where change hits first and hardest. The dealer divide. In small towns across the Midwest and South, Harley dealerships have always been more than showrooms. They're social circles with oil-stained floors. But lately, those floors have grown quiet. Small family-owned dealers are facing an impossible equation: aging inventory, rising insurance costs, and a corporate overhaul that demands expensive new equipment for servicing the upcoming platform. The announcement that should have inspired hope brought only hesitation. Some dealers are hanging on by grit. A shop in Missouri reported pausing all new orders until they know what the new touring model will cost them. Another in Arizona said they've been told to prepare for digital diagnostic systems that could render older service tools useless. It's a slow bleed for independents who've been the backbone of Harley culture for 50 years. "We'll adapt or close," one owner said, "but we're not quitting." Meanwhile, corporate dealerships are painting the moment as revolution. Sleek presentations, new training materials, promises of increased foot traffic, it all sounds good on paper. But between those two worlds, tension is thick enough to taste. You can feel it when you walk through a showroom. The pride, the anxiety, the stubborn hope that somehow, this time, Harley will get it right. Beyond those glass doors, far from the customers and sales quotas, another group of people is living this transformation one weld, one bolt, and one shift at a time. The men and women who build the bikes. Inside the factories, the hum of machinery never truly stops. It's the heartbeat of Harley's history, echoing through places like York and Menominee Falls, where generations have shaped steel into symbols. The workers there have seen every corporate cycle, the boom years, the cutbacks, the outsourcing threats, but they keep showing up because they believe in what they build. A veteran welder said it best: "Every weld I lay down feels like a signature." For these builders, Harley isn't a brand, it's survival through craft. Rumors of automation and layoffs loom, yet pride endures. Each bead of steel, each spark, proves one truth: real machines are built by hands that remember what pride feels like. And out beyond those factory walls, in rallies, clubs, and cross-country rides, the people who live and breathe this culture are finding ways to keep that same pride alive. If you want to stay ahead of every major shift hitting the motorcycle world, subscribe now. We cover what dealers won't say, what brands won't admit, and the stories every real rider deserves to hear before they hit the road. The culture holds the line. Across the highways and back roads of America, something remarkable is happening. Clubs that haven't shared a table in years are meeting again. Veterans are dusting off old patches, trike riders are joining weekend caravans, and long-haul tourers are showing up just to talk. Not about politics, not about specs, but about keeping the culture alive. What started as fear over a redesign has turned into unity through tradition. One organizer of a rally in Tennessee said it best during a rain-soaked evening ride: "If they build it right, we'll ride it loud." That line spread like gospel across social media, becoming a rallying cry for a community that refuses to die quietly. For every critic claiming Harley has lost its way, there's a dozen riders proving that the heart of the road still beats strong. They're hosting charity runs, veterans rides, and parking lot meetups that look more like family gatherings than protests. The brand might evolve, but the brotherhood stays the same. Chrome fades, engines change, but the bond built over shared miles never rusts. Riders still wave on the highway. they still gather under neon lights and talk about the road ahead. And in that unity, Harley's story finds new meaning, not as a corporation, but as a living tribe of people who refuse to let go of what freedom feels like. But this unity won't stay confined to Harley's world for long, because the ripple effects of this cultural awakening are already shaking the rest of the motorcycle industry. The industry's countermove. The moment Harley's new build leaked, the competition started taking notes. Indian, Honda, and Yamaha, brands that have each carved their own corner of the touring world, suddenly found themselves staring at Milwaukee for direction. Indian moved first, pushing deeper into performance territory with refined powertrains and lighter frames designed to challenge Harley's dominance on long-haul comfort. Honda responded in its own way, not by chasing sound or image, but by refining the already near-perfect Goldwing, adding subtle tweaks to suspension geometry and rider ergonomics. Yamaha, always the quiet workhorse of reliability, doubled down on comfort upgrades for its touring lineup, proving that smooth doesn't have to mean soulless. For the first time in years, Harley isn't catching up, it's leading. The industry shift is unmistakable. Competitors are no longer mocking Harley's heritage, they're trying to decode it. That loud heartbeat, the mechanical pulse that once made the brand seem old-fashioned, is now the benchmark for emotional design. Every brand can build fast. Only Harley can make fast mean something. This reversal of roles feels poetic. After decades of being called outdated, Harley has forced the rest of the field to prove they still have character. The message is clear. Authenticity isn't nostalgia, it's currency. But even as the mechanical race heats up, another kind of pressure is forming, one that can't be solved with horsepower or chrome. Politics and the pressure to build American. Behind every motorcycle rolling off a factory floor lies a web of politics, trade agreements, and environmental standards that shape what gets built and where. The last few years have been brutal for American manufacturing. Tariffs on imported parts, new environmental guidelines, and rising labor costs have turned every decision into a balancing act between pride and survival. Harley's new direction isn't just an engineering gamble, it's a political statement. Supply chains that once stretched around the globe are now tightening. The company has quietly shifted key production back to U.S. soil, hoping to shield itself from fluctuating tariffs and transport costs. It's a move that satisfies both lawmakers and loyalists who still believe "Made in America" means something sacred. But it comes at a price. Domestic sourcing means higher production costs and tougher negotiations with unions already strained by automation. It's progress laced with friction. At the center of it all lies one truth you can't legislate: pride. You can tax steel, you can cap emissions, but you can't regulate the satisfaction of hearing an engine you built roar to life. Harley's decision to fight for domestic identity, even when it's inconvenient, is a reminder that freedom doesn't come from the cheapest bidder. It's forged in places where hands still meet metal. That pride is noble, but it also hits riders where it hurts most: the wallet. Because for everyday Americans, the next great bike still has to make financial sense. Dollars, markets, and middle-class riders. The new Harley might inspire awe, but admiration doesn't pay the loan. For the average rider, what matters isn't the press release, it's the payment book. Over the last decade, motorcycle prices have climbed faster than wages, and Harley's flagship touring models are often priced like small cars. Insurance premiums, maintenance costs, and registration fees only add to the weight. Riders aren't asking for charity, they're asking for fairness. Early projections from dealer networks suggest the new platform could carry a base price near $35,000. That's steep, but if the machine delivers on durability and resale, it could stabilize the brand's reputation as the long-haul investment rather than a luxury gamble. Used markets will also feel the ripple. Older models might dip temporarily as riders trade up, but restored classics and anniversary editions could rebound fast once collectors smell heritage. Financing, however, is where the real challenge lies. Higher interest rates and stricter credit requirements are making it harder for middle-class enthusiasts to jump in. Harley's financial arm will need to adapt or risk alienating the very riders who carried it through the lean years. Because this story isn't about Wall Street or corporate forecasts, it's about a man standing in a dealership, looking at a bike that costs more than his first house, wondering if freedom is still within reach. Beyond the numbers and politics, though, something deeper remains. The reason riders fell in love with these machines in the first place. The meaning of the machine. When the noise fades and the factories close for the night, what's left isn't a press headline, it's a feeling. Harley Davidson has always been more than an engine or a frame. It's been a vessel for memory. Every ride carries the echo of someone's first open road, someone's first mistake, someone's first victory over the horizon. The new machine, for all its technology and precision, carries the same weight as everyone before it. The responsibility to keep that feeling alive. This isn't an ending, it's a recalibration. Harley didn't abandon tradition, it fortified it. In a world obsessed with shortcuts, the brand's persistence feels rebellious. They didn't build a bike, they rebuilt a promise. Veterans, truckers, mechanics, they see grit as proof of life, lining up not for novelty, but for something real that endures. Because when the day ends and the road stretches ahead, it's not about perfection, it's about motion. The ride, the sound, the heartbeat of steel against asphalt. That's what freedom feels like. So what do you think? Has Harley finally reclaimed its soul or traded it for survival? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate isn't just about motorcycles. It's about what American craftsmanship still means in 2025. If you got value from this breakdown, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that riders still care about real stories, not marketing fluff. And if you want more deep dives into the truth behind the industry, what brands won't say, what dealers whisper, and what the road itself reveals, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.